Hello, welcome back, and as always, I hope you're doing well. Right, first off, before I get started, I want to thank you all for the comments that you've been putting on my videos. It's got a little bit out of control, especially the beardy monkey kung fu video. It's done really well, one of the best videos I've ever done on YouTube, so thank you all for the comments. I read them all. And now Stripey Rambles, my channel, has grown and I've just passed 9,000 subscribers. So again, thank you all for that, guys. It really does mean a lot. So last week I had a comment on one of my videos from Sam Singh 3753, and Sam wrote and said, "Stripey, is there any chance you can do a review on Bruce Lee's film The Big Boss, the missing footage, as it's the most cut film of all of his films? And what happened to the footage of the first director that was shot, as Lo Wei was brought in to finish the film of The Big Boss?" I've had similar questions before about this. Vico74 commented on one of my videos and he said, "Great video, lots of information about his awesome box set. Would love to see you do a video on all the cuts of the movie. I'm not familiar with all the cuts and all their differences. Go on, you know you want to." That comment made me laugh, I've got to admit. Nice one, Vico. Did you know The Big Boss is one of the most edited and censored movies ever made? It's true. This classic martial arts film had to go through so many changes and cuts to suit different audiences and regulations. Some scenes were too violent, some were too controversial. You might be surprised how much the original story and action were lost or altered in the process. So this week what I've been doing, I've been really trying to do a little bit of research on the editing and cuts of The Big Boss. It's quite extensive, it's mind-blowing really. I've played the film a couple of times with different audio commentaries. The Criterion one with Brandon Bentley was very informative, and obviously Mike Leader. Obviously on the Criterion box you've got the extended scenes, and I've also reread the chapter in the Matthew Polly book Bruce Lee Alive called The Big Boss, to try and get as much information as I can about this. Also, there's a website called bruceleelives.co.uk, and there's a chapter in there called The Missing Boss by Jason Hart, and it is a wealth of resource all about the edits and cuts in the movie. I'll put a link in the description down below so you can check it out for yourself. It's well worth a read, guys. It's very informative. So let's start with the original director, Woo Cha-shong. He was replaced by Lo Wei after only a couple of days of filming. He really did clash with Bruce, and Woo Cha-shong was very much into the flamboyant, trampoline jumping up, the long-winded fight scenes that Hong Kong cinema was doing at the time. And Bruce he knew it wasn't real. He wanted to go whack and knock a guy down, and that was done, as opposed to the 20-minute fight scene that would normally go on in a Hong Kong movie. So he was replaced by Lo Wei, but as regards the footage, I have no idea what he shot. So sorry about that, Sam. I did try and find out some information, but I really come up with nothing. Now, bearing in mind, guys, in a couple of weeks we've got, was it less than 2 weeks now? We've got the Arrow box set coming out, Bruce Lee at Golden Harvest, and this has the Mandarin cut of The Big Boss, with 10 minutes of extra footage, but I don't know what's going to be in it. But I must admit, I am drooling and dripping at the mouth. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I really can't. That's going to be my first go-to. Obviously I'm going to want to see the log scene, I'm going to want to watch them all, but I think the Mandarin cut of The Big Boss will probably be my go-to film first. What about yours? So right, let's get on with what I've found out about deleted scenes and cut scenes, and I will try and break it down as best I can. I will show pics and videos if they're available when I'm trying to describe these scenes. Let's get on with the first one. The scene at the beginning at the refreshment stall when Bruce and Uncle first turn up, that was shortened, and the fight with James Chen and the thugs was also shortened. An entire scene of all the cousins playing a game of drafts, only for our Kun, Lee Kwan, to complain about cheating. Also what's missing is some footage of Chen Chao-wan, Bruce Lee's character, arriving at the family home. Dialogue between Bruce and James Chen after leaving the drug den. This was shown as an extended scene in the Criterion set.
It's just a small place, and the work's quite hard too, but still the pay isn't bad. But if you can stick it out for 5 years, you could save quite a lot. Enough to start up your own business here, in a small way. Hey, you! All right, keep out of this. These fellas are out looking for trouble, but I'll handle them.
All right, you. You're gonna get a lesson. We're gonna teach you to mind your own business.
Now after the fight, it literally cuts to sunlight and you see Mary Yee. Well, there was a whole scene completely missing. Bruce and James Chen go down an alleyway and two carts come hurtling towards them. So they have to grab arms and they jump up onto a wall. This scene is completely removed. I've never seen it. I've seen stills from it, as I've shown you. Maybe it might be in the Mandarin cut that comes out in a couple of weeks. Fingers crossed. After the pair return home, you can see James Chen bragging, and he grabs Lee Kwan by the privates, and you can see Bruce in the background sort of smiling. And this was on the Super 8mm trailer.
Then he jumped, came down, and I broke one up on him like that.
Yikes! Watch it! I might have use for those.
There's a scene after Chen sees off his uncle, and you can see he looks a little bit solemn, and apparently he's walking down the road where Nora Mao is doing her ice cream, and she turns and smiles at Bruce, but Bruce is looking a little bit solemn. But that is also in the Super 8 trailer. I mean, some of these scenes seem so innocuous and harmless, it does make you wonder whether it was time constraints. I just don't understand why they would cut them out. There's also a bit of missing dialogue when Bruce first arrives at the ice factory to start work, and he's talking to Lee Kwan, and this was also shown in the extended scenes in the Criterion set.
The fat one, see? With a beard and a pigtail, huh?
As the thugs dispose of the first two cousins, and they're cutting up all the bodies, apparently one of the heads gets thrown into an ice container. Also in the Criterion extended scenes, there's a little clip when the cousins have gone missing. You see Bruce, James Chen and the cousins all running towards the ice factory.
Hey, Wong and Chung come yet?
Missing dialogue between James Chen and the manager, also in the Criterion extended scenes.
You can go up to the boss's place yourself if you like.
First, old man Wong disappears, and nobody knows what happened. And now these two.
Look, just wait a minute. Old Wong, he didn't disappear. He said he was going to look for a wife.
I know that.
Well, all right. Get back to work. You'll see. They'll both turn up here later.
There's some shots of Tony Lau fighting his dad, the big boss, demonstrating in front of the men how to fight. Apparently this was trimmed down as well. Now quite a famous one is when James Chen leaves the big boss's house and they start fighting. There's a bit where Tony Lau pulls out a knife and dives over him, and all of a sudden James' head's bleeding. But if you look at the Super 8 trailer, you can see it's poor quality, but you can see the blood pumping out of his head. So as he's dived over him, he's cut him on the way down. That was removed. Now the first fight at the ice house, you know when Bruce loses his medal? Well, just before that, one of the workers gets struck in the head, and that's slightly cut as well. The bit where Bruce Lee gets drunk on Hennessy, cognac, at the party with the manager, and once Bruce is drunk, you sort of see him focusing on Marilyn Bonac. Now, when Bruce is sort of like focusing on her, it turns to Mary Yee, and the footage that we've all seen and the film that we all know and love. But apparently it actually was the hooker topless, and that's why Bruce sort of like lunges for her. That's been altered. There's also missing dialogue between Bruce when he first goes to visit the big boss, shown again in the extended scenes on the Criterion set.
I know why you've come. It's this strange business about Xiu Qian, isn't it?
Listen, I like you. I'm sure that you're capable. You can go a long way. You'll have a big future with us.
Well, thank you. But about Sue.
The infamous saw scene. Some people reckon they saw it December 1st, 1979 at the Gallman Theatre, and other people say it wasn't there. Who knows? But we have some photos from the saw scene. The most famous of all the cuts in The Big Boss. Apparently there's some extra footage of the thugs as they're approaching the family home. After the family are all massacred in the home, and Bruce has just defeated all of the thugs and Tony Lau at the ice factory, Bruce returns home and he slips on some blood. And he goes and finds Arshan's body, and he lifts up her mosquito net. Well, just as he's about to reveal the body with a knife in his chest, it cuts. You can see it's quite clearly an edit. After the family massacre, you see Bruce with two knives sat by a little river, and he's remembering and reflecting what's gone on. You see the family in some of the waterfall, and it shows them all happy and waving. Well, apparently in an uncut version, you see all of the dead bodies as well. And after Bruce picks up and he throws his package into the river, he stands there with his fists clenched going, "Revenge, revenge," screaming up. Now there is a still of this. Why they would cut that out is just ridiculous. But yeah, another missing scene. And this is another massive scene. After he runs away from the riverside, you see him running down the road, and then he ends up at the boss's house with a bag of chips that he's eating, you know, and he jumps over and etc, etc. Well, that's not exactly what really happened. And I think Bruce actually spoke about this in an interview with Ted Thomas. Well, basically, he went back to the bordello, you know, the whorehouse, if you like, a third time. And you can see him, there's photos of him. And the girl that he picks out actually was in the second scene. I will show it on here, the girl. And she's got a red top on. And it's infamously in the trailer, the Super 8 trailer, because you see Bruce stood there with his top off at the end of the bed. We've all seen it, and he throws her down. Well, apparently after whatever went on there, he's already paid her, but he gives her all the money he's got. And he takes up the chips, tries one, and then he leaves, and then he ends up at the boss's house, which makes more sense, really. Now, during the fight with the big boss, there's a bit where the boss cuts Bruce across the stomach. Chen Chowan cuts him across the stomach. Well, apparently Bruce done his famous, he did it in Enter the Dragon, he did it in The Big Boss when Tony Lau cut his arm. Bruce done that, taste it, spit it out and fight. That's been completely removed. And it was only until Hong Kong Legends come out, when Bruce sticks his fingers in the boss at the end of the fight. I'd never seen all the blood running down, but obviously that's intact now. But that was mind-blowing when I first saw that. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I think finally, when he's on top of the boss and he's pounding his lifeless body, Bruce throws a few more punches. And that, Sam, is all I could find out. I kind of hope it was helpful for you. We haven't got long now to watch the Mandarin print, and hopefully a lot of these scenes will be back in and more intact. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's as much as I could find out, and they're the deleted scenes. Some have stills remaining, not very high-resed, and some there's no scenes whatsoever. You know, so hopefully we'll find out more with the Mandarin cut. If you like this sort of thing, give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything and it really does help. And with that, guys, I'm going to bid you farewell. Thanks for watching, much love, and I'll be back with another ramble real soon. You take care, people.